How much do you think the average person has saved by the time they retire? Most people guess way too high because they assume that working your whole life must naturally lead to a comfortable nest egg. Others guess extremely low because all they ever hear are stories about Americans struggling in retirement. But almost no one can point to the real number based on actual data. And no, people don't retire with nothing. But the real number is surprisingly low. So low that almost anyone watching this video could surpass it, even if you started late, even if you don't earn that much. According to a recent Smart Asset study, the median retirement savings for households that do have a retirement account is only around $195,000. When I first saw that number, I had one thought. If the finish line is this low, why do so few people ever cross it? And more importantly, what does it actually take for you not just to reach it, but to leave it far behind? The answer comes down to a simple but incredibly powerful idea I call the Delta Principle. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how this principle can completely reshape your financial trajectory. That number, $195,000 at retirement, sounds surprisingly small, right? People work for decades, earning hundreds of thousands, even millions, over a lifetime. So how does that end up becoming such a modest retirement balance? Here's why it happens. First, most people don't start saving early enough. In our 20s and 30s, we're focused on rent, a growing family, changing jobs, paying off loans. Retirement in 62 feels so far in the future. Second, lifestyle creep slowly destroys the ability to save. Someone earning $4,000 a month gets a raise to $5,000. And what happens? A nicer car, eating out a bit more, maybe an extra trip here and there. Nothing extravagant, but just enough to keep their savings rate from ever increasing. And on top of that, there's the emotional side of investing. A lot of people never feel fully comfortable with the market, so they invest cautiously or inconsistently or pull out the moment things get shaky. And when investing becomes stop and go like that, compounding never gets a real chance to work. None of these choices feel dramatic in the moment, but over 20 or 30 years, they add up. And that's why so many people reach retirement with far less than they expected. Once you recognize that this is simply the pattern most people follow, it becomes easier to step out of it. Now, this is the most important part of the video. Imagine a ship leaving a harbor. If you adjust its course by just 1 single degree, you won't notice anything in the first hour. Everything looks the same. But after traveling thousands of miles, that tiny 1-degree shift sends the ship to a completely different continent. That's exactly the point of this video. To retire with a meaningful amount of money, you just need to do things slightly differently from the average person. For example, if most people don't save early, you start 1 or 2 years earlier. If most people never increase their contributions, you raise yours by just 1% each year. These actions are so small they're almost invisible in the short term, but compounding turns them into something massive over the long term. That's the essence of the Delta Principle. In math, delta represents change, a small difference. In personal finance, delta is that tiny behavioral shift that separates you from the average and eventually produces a dramatically different financial outcome. Here's an example. Let's say 2 people, A and B, both earn $60,000 a year and save 10%, which is $500 a month. Person B keeps saving $500 a month for 20 years. He's consistent, but nothing changes. Person A applies the Delta Principle. Every time he gets a raise, he increases his savings rate by 1%. Year 1, 10%. Year 2, 11%. Year 3, 12%. And so on. A 1% increase on a $60,000 salary is only $50 a month. That's a couple of Starbucks coffees, a change so small it barely touches his lifestyle. But after 20 years, Person A ends up with 40% to 70% more wealth than Person B, depending on raises and market returns. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars, created by decisions as small as a cup of coffee. That's the power of Delta. 5 steps to create a massive financial gap. Step 1. Build an automation delta. Why does automating your investing matter so much? Because people who use automatic transfers end up saving 12 out of 12 months. People who rely on willpower and memory, they typically save only 4 to 7 months each year. That's half the progress lost simply because nothing was automated. And automation is simple. Set up an automatic transfer from your paycheck to your investment account the moment you get paid. Don't let the money sit around in your checking account. If it stays there, chances are you'll spend it. And inside your investment account, turn on Auto Invest into a low-cost index fund like the S&P 500 or a global ETF. Step 2. Create a time delta. A dollar is always a dollar, of course, but in investing, a dollar invested at age 25 is worth many times more than a dollar invested at age 45. For example, a dollar you invest at age 20 might turn into $8, $10 by age 45. A dollar you invest at 45 barely grows at all. So don't ever think, what difference does $100 a month make? At age 30, that $100 can be as powerful as having to save $400, $500 a month at age 50. That's the magic of time. Step 3. Create a contribution delta. A delta can be as simple as increasing your savings rate by 1% each year, just like the example of person A earlier. A single percentage point is so small, most people never feel it in their paycheck, but the impact on your retirement is huge. Over 20 years, someone who keeps contributions flat and someone who increases them by 1% annually will not end up in the same place. The second person almost always wins by a wide margin. Step 4. Build a behavior delta. The biggest difference between average investors and great investors is how they react during the two most dangerous moments. Moment 1. When the market crashes. You open your phone, everything is red, and the news is screaming about recessions and crises. This is when the average person panics and pulls out. Long-term winners? They stay calm. They understand the market has survived dozens of crashes and always recovered. Moment 2. When the market skyrockets. News feeds are full of overnight millionaire stories. FOMO kicks in. The average person jumps in at the peak, chasing whatever is hot. Meanwhile, disciplined investors stick to their plan. They keep buying their index funds, quietly and consistently, knowing every period of hype eventually cools off. Master your behavior in these two moments, and you'll outperform 90% of other investors. Step 5. Mindset delta. Define enough early. If you don't know what enough looks like, your spending will always rise to match or even outpace your income. You make $50,000. You live a $50,000 lifestyle. You make $80,000. Suddenly, you're living an $80,000 lifestyle. And this cycle keeps you stressed and short on money forever. So decide, early on, what level of living actually feels good and fulfilling to you. Once you find that baseline, keep your lifestyle anchored there, even as your income grows. Whenever you get a raise or a bonus, don't jump straight to, what should I buy? Instead, funnel at least 50% of that increase into your investments. Or, even simpler, raise your contribution rate by 1-3%. Whatever remains, feel free to enjoy guilt-free. This is the easiest way to save dramatically more without feeling like you're sacrificing anything. Just holding your lifestyle steady for 24 months after each raise can create tens, even hundreds of thousands of dollars in long-term wealth. So now you have your 5 deltas: automation, time, contributions, behavior, and mindset. The 5 small shifts that can help you retire with far more money than the average person ever will. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss more content designed to help you build a stronger, freer financial life. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.